In this video, I want to talk about the 3 biggest mistakes that guys make that they often don't even know that they're making with women. And I have my good friend Katya Morozova here with me. And not only is she going to give us a feminine perspective, and not only is she an incredible person as well, but she is a relationship and dating coach and an expert herself as well for men and women. So she definitely knows both sides of it. So I wanted to have her here and share with us the top 3 mistakes that guys make.
Awesome. So the first mistake that guys make with women is lingering too long. And I'll just share from my personal experience. For example, if I'm sitting at a bar and I'm hanging out with some friends and some guy is checking me out, if I notice that he's just not, like, he keeps looking at me, I can tell he wants to talk to me, but he's not coming over and talking to me. Eventually it gets kind of old, because if I'm looking at you, I want you to come talk to me. So the biggest mistake that I notice is that guys linger, they keep looking, and they don't actually make the approach. And so what you can do about that is you can be direct. If you've made eye contact with someone, maybe even once or twice at the most, go over and start a conversation and say, "Hey, I'm so-and-so," and just start talking. You're going to get practice in being direct with women. Sure, it might not always, like, maybe you misread the cues at some point. It doesn't really matter. What I think women appreciate the most, and what I know I appreciate the most about guys who are direct, is I'm usually flattered by the fact that you came over to me and actually started a conversation. And it's a much different feel. Like, even if I'm unavailable, even if I have a boyfriend or there's something going on where I'm not interested in having a conversation, if you are direct, I'm more likely than not to be flattered more than anything else. So the second mistake that guys make is usually actually on a first date. And what I've noticed is guys typically, they don't share about themselves. So they're really great most of the time about asking me a lot of questions about myself, but they're not sharing back. So if Stingy sharing, yeah. So if I'm revealing a bunch of information about myself, I want to know some things about you. And what I teach my clients is I teach them to talk about the essence of things. So what that means is, let's say you're asking me questions and maybe you're giving me short responses, like you're asking me about where I like to travel, right? And then you tell me, like, I like to travel to Colombia, or I've been here, or blah, blah, blah. You're not really giving me the essence of what actually happened. So if you're saying I went on this trip, and share more about it. Like, what was one profound moment that was really moving for you? What was really special about that trip? So if you start to share the essence of things, a woman can actually connect to you emotionally, and she'll feel more safe and secure in the conversation, and she'll feel like she really gets a sense of who you are, which is actually what she's looking for. So, and then my experience of that is, I think guys oftentimes think that they can't be vulnerable with a woman, and it is so not true. Women are dying for you to be vulnerable with them so that they actually feel safer to open up more. Tip number 3 is the first message that all women hate. So the first message that all women hate, or the first message from hell, as I like to call it. This is if you're dating online, if you're dating on Hinge or Bumble or OkCupid, Tinder, any of the dating apps. So the number one message that all women hate to hear is, "Hey, how are you?" or some variation of that. So, hey, how are you? Hey, you're beautiful. But we'll stick with the "hey, how are you" for now. So I know that you're just trying to say hello. And if you walked up to a woman in a bar or at a party and said, "Hey, how are you?" that is totally appropriate. But when you're sending a message like that to an attractive woman on a dating site, you want to realize what her inbox actually looks like and step into her world. So if you are messaging someone who's really attractive in their 20s and 30s, she's going to have a slew of messages in her inbox, and most of them are going to say, "Hey, how are you?" One of the experiences that I had the other day is I matched with a bunch of like really good looking guys. They seemed very interesting. Their lifestyle seemed really cool, and I was excited to talk to them. Every single one of them texted me, "Hey, how are you?" And the problem with that is I didn't actually know which one of them to have a conversation with, so I ended up not having a conversation with any of them. And usually the guys that I respond to are the ones who send me some unique message, some variation of on top of, "Hey, how are you?" Like, even if you message a woman and say, "Hey, what's something exciting that you have going on this week?" that is enough of a variation where she can actually engage with you, because you are now distinct in the conversation and distinct from all the other messages that she's getting. Yeah? So that is tip number 3.
And just something to add to that, they did a study on OkCupid. They have a blog where, at least they used to do studies and see like scientifically who responds to certain things. And they found out that if you had the word "hey" in your first message, you were significantly less likely to get a response just by having that word in there. So definitely coming up with something creative and something a little out of the box would definitely get you in the box, in the inbox. Right.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, so I read that same study, and what they found was that you could even just say "hola" or "howdy" or "heya," and just a variation of that word.
Wow.
It makes such a huge difference. Yeah.
All right. So, Katya, thank you for doing this video with us and sharing the female perspective, which I thought was really interesting to see from another side. You know, a lot of times when I know guys will get on forums and Facebook groups and all these other things, and it's usually just a lot of guys talking, and we forget that this is about women. So it's really good to have a female perspective.